This is the 2023 Ford Ranger 2.0 bi-turbo Wildtrak 4x4. And this is probably the best and most refined mid-size pickup truck that you can currently get in the market. And today I'm going to show you around this truck, and I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. Stock styling first. So this big bold grille right here really communicates the built Ford tough moniker that Ford's been using. Even your Ford logo is pretty big right here. Signature C-clamp headlights, LEDs, adaptive matrix 2, as well as fog lights down below, and they are really bright. They truly illuminate the road pretty well. Now this next gen Ford Ranger is actually based on the T6.2 platform, which is essentially an upgraded version of the previous Ranger's platform. So compared to before, you have a track that is 2 inches wider and a wheelbase that is 2 inches longer. And from the profile of this truck, you can really see that translated really well into giving this truck right here a very muscular stance. You have squared off edges too. Now the rims on this one, they are 18 inches and they are also painted in gunmetal. It is a shame though that you can't get the Ranger with a 20-inch rim setup, but what if you swap in an Everest rim right here? Man, this will look even better than it already does. Huge wing mirrors, definitely a trademark for these Rangers even from before, with repeaters too, cameras, as well as a puddle lamp to illuminate the floor at night. Now take a look at the step board right here. I really love this step board because in a lot of trucks, they're pretty half-assed. They're just there for the sake of it. But for this one, you can really put your entire foot right there. That is definitely a welcome addition. Up top is a roof rail, and you also have a sports bar right here. Ground clearance is at 235 millimeters, and weighting depth is still at 800 millimeters. Now here's proof that Ford actually listens to what their customers need. So in most pickup trucks, you really do have to stand on the tire to get inside the bed. But for this Ranger right here, there is now a rear box step, which makes climbing onto the bed incredibly easy. And I know what you're gonna say, isn't that pretty easy? A lot of people should just stick that there. No, this isn't just an afterthought, because they can't just put a step right here and call it a day and build it into the bumper. No, that wouldn't be able to take the weight of a person. So they really had to design this entire piece right here from the ground up. And as you can see, it is a separate piece from this outer bumper right here. Now, is that the only thing that's pretty cool here? No, there are a lot more. First of all, the lights. They have this really nice shape to it, and even your blind spot sensors is built into the lighting assembly. Over here at the back, your tailgate too is assisted. And once you put this down, the first thing you'll notice here, of course, is the bed liner and over 1,230 liters of space. Plus, I know a lot of Ranger owners, or 99.9% of Filipino Ranger owners, will never cut wood in their life, but they can with this car right here. Why? You even have these holes right here wherein you can put clamps. That way you can turn this into a workbench. And if you have a camping trip, there is even 2 sockets in there, one for your regular household socket and the other one for your cigarette lighter socket, and that is strong enough to even power a rice cooker. So you can really do everything with your Ford Ranger. Also, look at those like cutouts on the side. You can custom build your wood planks and shove it there and turn this into a very flexible carrying pickup truck. Now for the power aspects of things, just like before for this top line trim, you get the Ranger with a 2-liter bi-turbo diesel engine making 210 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque, mated to also the same 10-speed automatic transmission. It's a little bit of an odd case because as much as I love this engine, I don't get why Ford detuned this by 3 horsepower compared to before, because the previous generation Ranger was doing 213 horsepower. But no matter, this still is pretty amazing to drive, which you will see later on. As for fuel economy, you can do around 7.8 kilometers per liter in moderate to heavy city traffics and over 16 kilometers per liter on the highway. Can't get enough of that. That sounds absolutely fantastic. Once you're seated inside here, you're going to be greeted with a cabin that, for lack of a better term, is simply premium. I mean, you got soft touch appointments everywhere on the side, on the frontal part of your dashboard. You get an 8-inch digital instrument cluster, which is really easy to read and also very informative with good graphics too. And a Tesla-like portrait-oriented 12-inch touchscreen, which not only is incredibly responsive, but it's so clear, and it even comes with wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, a 360-degree view camera, as well as an off-road monitor. This cabin is just a nice place to be. I love being inside this cabin. Your seats too, these are 8-way power adjustable with lumbar support for the driver's side. Unfortunately, only 4-way manually adjustable for the passenger side, but they use a mix of genuine and synthetic leather right here with this Wildtrak pattern on it with orange stitching too. This orange stitching does also continue towards the steering wheel, which is also leather wrapped and is tilt and telescoping. Plus, you got so much functions right here for your adaptive cruise control, your speed limiter, and even your lane center assist, which this car has, by the way. Ergonomics wise, everything is also really good. Everything is within reach, including your cubby spaces. So you have a French fries holder right here. You get 2 of these big cup holders. You get a split glove box design, and you even have bigger bottle holders on the side. Plus this center cubby, which is also pretty big. Ford even took the time to give you a side cup holder just below your air vent, so if you have some cold drinks, you can easily just keep them cool right there. And then down below, there is even a wireless charging pad for you to charge your phone. Now, while you don't get the electronic shifter found in the Everest, which is pretty cool, this regular shifter right here is really easy to use, and it does even come with manual mode. You also get an electronic parking brake right here, and drive mode selector switches for your 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low. Other features in this car include 6 speakers, which sound excellent, and also 7 airbags, which include this driver knee airbag. And then your other advanced driver assistance systems, such as your adaptive cruise control with stop and go, your autonomous emergency braking, your forward collision warning, your blind spot monitoring, and also your evasive steer assist, among others. Now you're at the back to check the door too. And that sounds really excellent. Now, one thing I forgot to tell you up front and here at the back too is that the door handles, you don't grab it from anywhere right here. So where your grab handles would usually be by the door, it's just right there. So you just squeeze that and you can easily open the door. Again, amazing door thud. Anyway, back here, space is probably also the best in its class because there's just tons of room back here. And Ford even gave you a deeper cutout compared to before, which gives you extra leg room. And even your headroom is really good because of just how square this cab is. Despite this cab being square though, the pre-reclined position of the seats are actually pretty comfortable, and I really wouldn't mind spending a long time right here, even if I compare it to some of the 7-seater PPVs, like the SUVs with a little bit better recline. This really is not a bad place to be. You also get a couple toys back here, so you do get your own armrest with 2 small cup holders, and you even get your own air vents. You get a USB-A port, a USB-C port, and a household 230-volt socket. The Ranger is also one of the widest in its class, so seating 3 people back here is doable, but overall it still is best reserved for 2 people. Also, if you really need to store some things and keep them out of sight, you don't want to put it at the bed, you can simply lift up this bench right here and you have extra spaces for storage. So now we drive the Ford Ranger Wildtrak 4x4 by Turbo, and Ford has done it again with this truck right here because it still is the most enjoyable and the most comfortable to drive in its segment. First of all, the power, it really kicks. 210 horsepower is the best in its class, and you really feel the torque when you step on this car. It really does kick. And it's not only for low speeds, even if you're already going at pretty high speeds and you want to overtake, you want to accelerate, that 500 newton meters of torque still hits you. Now, this engine right here, coupled to this 10-speed transmission, is also a great combo because this transmission right here, despite having 10 gears, it doesn't really hunt for a gear. Although I do find the gearing to be a little bit short, so you're gonna find the truck wants to shift pretty often. But that is fine because the shifts are pretty crisp and pretty fast as well, so you don't really feel all that power loss that is usually associated with traditional automatic transmissions. Next to comfort, the comfort is simply excellent. For the longest time, the Nissan Navara was the most comfortable pickup truck in its class, but right now this one, it just soaks up every single bump on the road. But oddly enough, if you compare this to its SUV counterpart, the Everest, for some reason, on good roads, the Ranger feels better than the Everest, but on bad roads with like ginormous potholes, the Everest feels better. So yeah, I know what you're gonna say. Yeah, that makes absolute sense because the Ranger comes with 18-inch rims, while the Everest, at least the top of the line variant, comes with 20-inch rims. Yes, I get you, but also the Ranger comes with leaf springs. So I don't know what witchcraft that Ford did to this truck right here, but despite having leaf springs, it truly is a very comfortable experience right here. Wind noise too all around you, you barely hear anything, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. Good thing because, well, it frankly is just comfortable and amazing, but bad thing is because you will easily go extra legal speeds without noticing it. But don't worry, because Ford has remedied that with a built-in speed limiter right here. The Ford Ranger is also a very heavy truck even for its class, but just like its predecessor, it still uses an electrically power-assisted steering system, which means that it still is incredibly light. I've improved the steering feedback here a little bit to give you a slightly more enjoyable driving experience, and while it's not gonna win any awards for steering feel or for a sports car-like feel, when you do drive this truck over bends and corners or long distances, you're gonna find this a little bit more enjoyable compared to before, and a lot more enjoyable compared to pretty much every single other pickup truck in its class. Next, on the highway, it's also incredibly comfortable because not only is it quiet, but it also comes with a lot of advanced driver assistance systems. So you do have your typical adaptive cruise control with stop and go, but this even comes with lane centering. So when you are driving along on the highway, as long as there are lane markings, it will steer by itself. And yes, you do have to touch the wheel once in a while, but it's just incredibly accurate. It works, I'd say, 80% of the time. And you don't have to touch the steering wheel as much compared to other cars out there. The seating position of the Ranger is also pretty good because you can really jack up your seats pretty high. So no matter if you're pretty tall or pretty short, you're gonna see everything in front of you. Even if you have some of those more popular 7-seater PPVs out there right in front of you, you still have the sensation of being able to see above and beyond them. So it gives you a very commanding feel as you drive this. My one slight complaint with the Ranger though is, despite having an incredibly powerful engine made it to this pretty good transmission, there seems to be a lot of turbo lag right here. So even if you leave this car in normal mode and not in the more economical eco mode, when you want to overtake really quickly, you kind of have to plan it a little bit in advance, because as you step on the throttle, gives you about a second or so before the turbo properly spools up and gives you that kick, which I was talking about earlier. But it still is pretty good when you compare it to a lot of the other pickup trucks in this class. So, the Ford Ranger in this 2.0 bi-turbo Wildtrak 4x4 trim is one well thought out pickup truck that is fun to drive, comfortable to, refined, and also very powerful. And at 1.885 million pesos, it is a little bit on the more premiumly priced side of mid-sized pickup trucks, but I truly think that every single cent or peso that you spend on this pickup truck will be incredibly well worth it.